Welcome to Flash Tutorial 28, Movie Clip or Graphic. I have a new FLA opened on my computer. I'm selecting the rectangle tool and I'm keeping a black stroke and a purple fill and making a rectangle. We've already learned one of the symbols. We learned the buttons in a previous tutorial. Now we're going to do the other two symbols, movie clips and graphics. While I have that rectangle on my stage, I'm going to pick up my selection tool, highlight it, go up here to modify, similar to what we did with buttons, and make sure graphic is selected, and just going to call it RET as in rectangle underscore GRP as in graphic. Here it is. It's also been put in my library just like the buttons were, and I can open it by double clicking here, or I can edit it in place by double clicking right here, and it says rectangle graphic. That's it there. So let's put in a second of animation. There's 24 frames a second, so let's go to frame 24 and insert a keyframe. Let's pick this graphic up and move it down here, go back to frame 1, and let's just try to make this into a motion tween. And it says the selected item cannot be tweened, it must be converted, and it says do I want to convert it. If I press yes, it will convert it, but I don't want to convert it. This object itself, if I double click on it, it's just a drawing, so it's not any kind of a symbol. But I can click here and do a classic tween. So right click, create a classic tween, and the arrow and the purple tell me I have a classic tween. Let's go back to scene 1 for a minute, and let's do a test. Now it didn't move, it just sat there. And why is that? That's because graphics, even though this graphic has its own timeline, frame by frame it is controlled and in sync with the scene 1. So I have to go up to frame 24 here and insert frames, and now I can see that I didn't need to insert a keyframe here. I just inserted a frame because I'm not making any changes. Now when I test it, it moves across the stage, and if you don't know by now, unless you tell it to stop or do something else, use an action code, it just keeps going back to frame 1 to 24, then back to 1 to 24, and it just keeps repeating this. So that's the big difference, a big difference between that and a movie clip. The graphic is connected and controlled by the frames on scene 1. So now let's click here and let's remove all these frames for a minute. Remove frames. We go, remove frame. Now let's make another rectangle. Let's make a circle this time. My oval tool, we'll keep the same colors. There's an oval. I'm going to select it, highlight it, see the square around it, modify it, convert it to a symbol. This time I'm going to choose movie clip, and we're going to call it circle, CIR underscore MC for movie clip. Now same thing applies. It goes in the library same way. There's my tweens that I made. It goes in the library, so I can double click here and there's my movie clip circle. Now let's do the same thing. Go up to frame 24, insert a keyframe. There it is, and let's try the same thing here. Motion tween. Again, this itself is not a movie clip. This is just a graphic inside of this movie clip, so I can't do a motion tween, but I can. First thing I'm going to do is remove the tween, but I can do a Classy Tween. So let's click here, bring this up here, go back to frame 1, right click, make it a Classy Tween, which I can do that. And that's exactly what we did before with the circle, with the rectangle. But back on scene 1, I only have one frame. And here you'll see the difference. If I test a movie, see that? Even though I only have one frame on scene 1, the movie clip is totally independent. As long as there's an instance of this. If I click this, open my properties panel, see, this is an instance. It's an instance of this circle movie clip. And if you're writing action script on it, you would put a name in here, and that's the name you would use. I think that's enough. I hope you learned something from this tutorial, and I hope you use what you learned.